Hi everyone, this is Cheryl again, and in this demo I'd like to show you how to create more advanced style rules by grouping your selector tags. So in this demo we're using the same file that we used in the previous one, but what I'm going to do is set up an advanced selector type rule that controls the font and bold formatting for all of my heading tags, like the H1, H2, H3, all the way to H6. And to do that, I'll go ahead and create a new style rule by clicking my new CSS rule button in the CSS styles panel. And again, I want this to be a tag style rule, and the tag I'm going to focus on is the H1 tag to start off with. And again, in this demonstration, I'll be adding this rule to my internal style sheet, even though again, I want you to always be focusing on using external style sheets. So I'll go ahead and say OK to that. And it opens up my CSS rule definition dialog box. And I'll go ahead and set a font family here of Tahoma, Geneva, Sans Serif. And I'll also set a font weight of bold. And I'll say OK to that. And you'll see that my H1 tags, which are right up here and right here, assume those new settings for the H1 selector type, tag selector type rule I just created. Now, if I come back up here in my CSS styles panel, click once in the H1 rule that I just created so I get into the edit box, I'll go ahead and use a comma here after H1, and then I can put H2, comma, space, H3, comma, space, H4, comma, space, H5, comma, space, and H6. This is a group CSS tag selector rule, and it will apply these two properties of Tahoma, Geneva, Sans Serif, and a font weight of bold to all of these tags. So I'll go ahead and click away. And now let me highlight this paragraph tag. You can see it right down here. It's a paragraph tag. And I want to change that to an H2 tag. And when I select H2, you'll see that it now assumes the same settings as my FLV or my H1 tag. And I'll come down here and go ahead and set this to an H2. And again, it will assume those settings. If I choose to make this an H4, there it is again with those settings. It also has a kind of default size that I haven't set yet. So each of these H2 and H4 that I just set down here are going by the default size setting. Now I can come back in based on the rules of inheritance and cascade and create a new rule. Let's say this is for my H2 tag, and I want it to be a color of red and a font size maybe of 14 pixels. Well, actually, we'll keep it relative. We'll make it 1.1 ems. And I'll say OK. And now you'll see that this H2 tag that I applied to this block of text now becomes red, and it's lowered to 1.1, but it still has the groups tag selector rule I created of Tahoma and bold. So that's a little bit on how CSS works. Try to implement that, more advanced style rules, and using your cascade and inheritance that I showed in the previous demo on your project websites. to really fine tune the CSS and the format that you're applying to your HTML elements. And again, as always, if you have questions, please do not hesitate